So that's what the rural economy is projected to look like. I'm Amritpal Singh. Let's now go over to my colleague Shishir Shelar, who joins me from Mumbai. Shishir, you joining us from the financial capital of the country. How is Mumbai looking at this? What are Mumbai's expectations from this budget, which the finance minister will be presenting in a short while from now?
Well, absolutely. We just heard about what the rural economy is actually, what the needs are. But what exactly the India IMC needs is most important, and that's the reason probably we'll talk to Sougata Ghosh, who is the Deputy-Director-General, Indian Merchant Chambers. So, being today, we have seen a Saturday also, and the market is on, because that's what you've seen in 2015 also. And probably, most of the market players have said that they want to see the market sentiment, how the entire budget pan out. What's your view on that first?
See, when the union budget, such a huge thing happens, so the market has to be open. When we heard that the 1st of February is on Saturday, we were expecting that it will be open on Saturday. So it's nothing new in that, because the market has to gauge what is happening, and there's no point in keeping the markets closed when, such a huge event is happening. So, totally agree with that.
As far as the India IMC is concerned, because we have seen here that this time around, the more focus is about that important tax slabs that Indian corporates are looking for. Obviously, DTD, the deduction on dividend also that we've been talking about. At the same time, we're also talking about the slabs for the personal income tax regime that also most of the focused on. What's your take on that? That what exactly we're going to see from the corporate side in this budget?
From the corporate side, as I mentioned last year also, I think they will take some action on LTCG. Last year they did not, but I am hopeful that this time around they will do it. Either cut the tax slabs itself, or increase the duration before LTCG kicks in, so that sort of gives them a room to play around. So I am very hopeful, because you see the capital markets have really gone down, and LTCG and DDT will be really very helpful in putting things back up and firing up the markets.
But when we talk about it, we've also talked about that what exactly the DTT, because the 15% is what the company was paying earlier, and their expectations now that probably shareholders will have to bear the charges of it, they have to pay the tax for it. What kind of changes do you see, and what kind of impact do you see on this?
One thing perhaps that they might be doing is that they will probably take away the company share of the taxes, so the companies will not have to pay the taxes, but that will also mean that the individual has to bear the taxes, unless of course they also cut down on the tax rate itself, which will give some relief. See, currently the corporate taxes are profits are taxed at 3 levels. You have when the company makes profits, when they transfer the money to the shareholder, and when the shareholder it's shown as an income. So you have a 3 level of taxation on one single unit of profit. That is simply unfair, whichever way you cut it and look at it. So it is better that they look at it and reform the system to some extent.
What kind of impact do you see this on the market? Because market yesterday we've seen there was quite slow down it was seen here, but there are expectation that market probably will take up this season.
I think the markets will welcome such a move. So we'll see about that.
The numbers basically talk about the GDP was actually quite slightly lower than what was projected earlier in yesterday's economic survey. Now when we talk about this, will this budget pave the way for the greater growth for the GDP, or probably what we can see, the consumption pattern is most important, but at the same time government is also looking at the investment pattern also.
Correct. See, for the investment, which is the supply side of it, government has taken a lot of steps, including cutting of corporate taxes and all that in the last fiscal. In this fiscal, I am hopeful that they will address the demand side of it, which essentially means that the people need more money in their pockets, which is essentially looking at the personal taxes and other things. If they cut it down, then people will have more money to consume, or basically spend, and that spending of money will drive the consumption itself. That will be kicked on the demand. Right now the demand side of the economy is not addressed to the extent that it should be, and if you can focus on that, that would be a great help.
My last question to you is that what exactly India IMC looking from this budget? What are the major takeaway points, or probably they're expecting that this budget that government should address?
See, one of the few things that we are looking at is rationalization of taxes across whether corporate or the personal taxes, or even the private limited companies and LLPs, all that. Second, we are looking at rationalization of personal income taxes to the extent that is possible, that the government, if the government has the fiscal room to do that. Third is liquidity, which is very important. Currently liquidity is not flowing into the market, although the banks are sitting on a lot of money, but they are not lending out. So that is something that is very important, has to be looked in. Fourth is we are very much focused on the SME segment, which is the backbone of economy, and they really need hand-holding and they really need our support, which currently they are not getting in terms of either credit or any other support. So we would expect the government to definitely look into that.
Well, absolutely. That was Sougata Ghosh, DDG of Indian Merchant Chambers. You heard that exactly what the India IMC is looking from this budget. Obviously, the individual tax is one aspect also. At the same time, the corporate also need to be balanced on the other side. And that's what probably, it's a very tightrope that probably the finance minister will walk today.
All right, Shishir, let's see how